Hey folks, Captain Jim coming to you with another ride video. This one's going to be closing out our month in the Maggie Valley, North Carolina area. Topping it off with a ride on the Tail of the Dragon, something that's been on Joan's bucket list. Well, for a bit of history, we actually rode this road on motorcycles. Both of us had Gold Wings at the time, and it was 1983, leaving from the Black Hills in South Dakota, going down to Florida, and making our way back through North Carolina, and riding through Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and of course swinging by on a side trip to take in what was known as Highway 129 then, prior to it getting the notoriety as Tail of the Dragon. Today I'm going to discuss a little bit about, is this a dangerous road? Because it has a reputation. Tail of the Dragon is one of those, it's a lot of scary things happen on there. There's car wrecks and motorcycle accidents, and the resort at Deals Gap has the Tree of Shame with pieces of motorcycles hanging from all the branches on the tree, showing how people have crashed. And here's my take on it. If you approach this as though it's a racetrack, you're going to get yourself in trouble. It's not. There's two-lane traffic coming at you from all directions. It has some really special qualities for a great motorcycle ride. It's 318 curves in 11 miles. So it's a fun road to ride. You do have to be careful. You have to plan where you want to be in your lane. There's a lot of blind corners. There's a lot of decreasing radius turns. There's a lot of tight turns. There's some fun sweeping turns, but you have to be aware of where you are in the lane and know that there's potential that something coming at you in the other direction may be over the center line. And we saw several examples of that when we rode this. Now, Tail of the Dragon does have some unique features that actually make it a somewhat safer road to ride than a lot of other twisty roads in the North Carolina and Tennessee area. There are no access roads from side to side on this. No driveways coming into this road, no intersecting highways coming into this during the 11 miles of Tail of the Dragon. So it's not a closed course, but you don't have the possibility of somebody pulling out. Well, there are turnouts scattered around pretty frequently on there, and somebody could be pulling out of that, but you're not going to have regular traffic crossing this road in any stretch of that 11 miles. And the speed limit is 30 miles an hour. If you ride it at 30 miles an hour, you're going to be pretty darn safe with it if your riding skills and your equipment are up to the task. We rode it on a pair of scooters. Joan was on her Yamaha X-Max 300, and I was riding my Suzuki Bergman 200. These have been great scooters to have for the time that we've been spending in this area. Most of the really fun twisty roads have speed limits of 45 miles an hour or less. A big heavy bike, regardless of how many horsepower it has, is not going to be any more entertaining through those curves than a fun lightweight scooter that you can easily flick from side to side. So we picked these bikes specifically to bring along. I've got another motorcycle at home, but we thought this, like with my little Bergman, would be the ideal platform for riding around in this area, and honestly, so far it has proven to be so. Now back to the speed limits on Tail of the Dragon. Are there people driving more than that 30-mile-an-hour speed limit? Yeah, absolutely. And there's some of the corners that have recommended speeds of 10 or 15 miles an hour, and you need to be slowing down in those. Especially the last month that we have spent in this area has been particularly rainy. We drove it in a rental car first because we had like 8 days of solid rain and really didn't want to go take the scoots out on this in the rain. So we drove it in the car to kind of get a preview of it once again. And there was hardly any traffic on there. And one really nice thing about the road right now, they had road construction on it during May and June of this year. Oh, and by the way, this is August of 2024 when I shot this video. It was shot on Monday the 5th of August, and I'm getting around to processing it and doing this voiceover a week or so later. But the road surface has been completed since about mid-June, and this road is perfect right now. There's no dips, there's no potholes. It is beautifully smooth, and contrary to what I've heard a lot of people say, the road is crowned or curved beautifully. It's banked nicely into most of the corners. Somebody did a really fine job of engineering this road decades ago, and looks like most of it's in the state of Tennessee, and they've done a real fine job with the upgrades and the refinishing on the surface that they did of this in the last month or so. Now, I had originally intended to shoot the whole 11 miles, and going at 30 miles an hour, that would have made this video, let's say a half hour long going out, and for where we're staying in Maggie Valley, then another half hour of it coming back, and no stops along the way that we had planned. But that would have been well over an hour of video, shooting both 360 and using a DJI Osmo Action 4 for the 4K regular video on this. In fact, as you look at some of the video here, you can see my Insta360 X4 that's showing up like right now in the lower right corner. And then as that camera swings back to show me riding the bike, I had the Osmo Action 4 mounted on top of my helmet to give me a view over the top of my windshield mostly. And with the 4K on the DJI Action 4 and the 8K on the Insta360 X4, I wound up, when I downloaded those, with over 100 gigs of raw footage, and that's just way too much for me working remotely like this with a laptop and a fairly slow internet connection to be able to upload this thing to YouTube. That might be another week or so before we get ourselves somewhere where we have a little faster connection that I can do a reasonable upload on that, and something that won't take me 10 hours of upload waiting for YouTube to get all this. So I tried to edit to show what the ride is like for the greatest majority of this video, so that you can see riding along at pretty much the speed limit. This is what it all looks like, and it gives you some idea of what to expect on this road. Now, I've had some people ask me, well, how does this compare to some of the other fun roads you've ridden? If you've watched this channel at all, you know that I love the Black Hills, and I think there are some spectacular roads in the Black Hills. And I'm going to use Iron Mountain Road and Needles Highway as comparisons against the Tail of the Dragon. And this is one guy's opinion. You don't have to agree with me on this. In fact, I think most people probably won't. But comparing Tail of the Dragon in North Carolina and Tennessee with Iron Mountain Road in the southern Black Hills, I like the riding better on Iron Mountain Road. It doesn't have quite as many curves in such a short distance. It's about 17 or 18 miles long. I've made plenty of videos on Iron Mountain Road, so look back through my channel and you'll see plenty of those along the way. But there are things to see on Iron Mountain Road. There are views looking at more than just the road. On Tail of the Dragon, you have the road and you have the trees, and it is beautiful, lush green. I can understand why everything is so green with all the rain that we had while we've been here. But you know the old saying, you can't see the forest for the trees? That's a big part of that. All right, we're coming up on a piece right here, and there was an accident. Miata went off the road and crashed into some trees, and it was a little bit before we got there. Here you can see I'm slowing down traffic as it's coming around so they don't crash into the car that parked right on the road there while the guy ran back. So I'll let this kind of speak for itself here, and if there's anything that I can add to, I'll do so.
But there doesn't appear to be anybody in the vehicle.
Okay,
I just happened to glance over.
I'm coming up on the Miata there. The guy whose car was parked there, he was the one that said he's going to get out of the way. He was concerned that somebody had been thrown out of the car. And so I went down there to look, and there's no way anybody was tossed out of this car. The windshield was not broken out, and the windows are small enough on the side windows that nobody would have gone through those. Looking at the damage on the car, it did not impact the tree at a high speed. They were probably mostly slowed down by this point, but there was nobody around. Now, as you can see with the little scroll I put on there, the driver came back. He wasn't hurt. He went somewhere to call for a wrecker. Joan had called 911 to let them know what was going on there, and we got back on our scoots. The guy wasn't hurt. All he had to do was wait for some services, so there was nothing more we could do, and we felt that we should get ourselves out of harm's way and off the road. There are no shoulders on a lot of Iron Mountain Road, so no place to pull over. And on this stretch here, we're on our way back to Deals Gap, and that kind of wraps up our time on the Tail of the Dragon. Is it a great road? Absolutely. Fun. Lots of great curves. So that's a wrap for this video. Thanks for riding along. We'll see you on the next one.